My topic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mine is high school. But we've talked a bit about high school.
Just a little bit.
Here's where have we?
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. Okay. Here's my thing. I didn't like high school all that much.
You're an
I like
idiot.
I didn't like school part of it, right? Like the teachers and all that
Well,
shit, like that kind of crap. I had
naturally.
fun with my friends or whatever, right? But I don't look back on it with like, I really like high school. And like I'm always, like when the high school wants money, I never give it to them. When Mizzou wants money, I'm like, here's some money. You know what I mean? Like I love Mizzou, didn't like my high school or whatever.
Yeah. I didn't like any school that much.
Here's my one day you will.
I don't know.
All right. Well, just give me your money and I'll give it to Mizzou.
Okay.
We can get you a Tim Gettys brick at Tiger Walk or something. You want? Anyways.
Yes.
I watched this movie The Duff over the weekend.
Oh my God. What'd you think?
It was great.
I thought it was really
It
funny.
was really, really good. Yeah, no.
I like the part where he's like, say it in the monster voice. She's like, no. He's like, all right. He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Really funny movie.
Really good movie.
Now here's where this comes down to is that I feel like there's a ton of movies that are set in high school that always make me go, oh man, I'm nostalgic for. Wait, I don't like high school. I find
American Pie.
Yeah, American Pie, Duff recently, that Almanac movie. Like, it's all these things of, like, you're hanging out with your friends and you're like, I hang out with you idiots every day, and it's great, but it's not like that. And and I don't know if it ever, like, even when we sit there and I'll tell you my Smash Brothers, when we had the Smash Brothers Championship and we all played at Michael Bryan's house and we lived there every weekend or whatever, like, those were great stories, but they don't feel like these movies, but these movies are able to bring up this feeling of nostalgia. And I want to know if I'm alone on that, if everyone is not suspect. If everyone's feels this nostalgia for high schooly movies, if they take you back like that, how it ties into your high school thing, or if I'm just for some reason, I don't even know if it's me seeing these experiences and wishing mine was more like that. If that makes sense, you know what I mean? Like I had a great core of high school friends. Don't get me wrong. I just really hated high school. Like I got to the end of sophomore year, middle of sophomore year, I was like, I'm not taking a backpack home anymore. I fucking hate this place. Right. And I just did my homework in the morning. I'm like, whatever. I don't fucking care.
I think a good experience that kind of relates to what you're talking about is when I was graduating high school in 1998, and I realize a lot of you don't remember that time because you were all zygotes. But in 1998, a movie called Can't Hardly Wait came out.
Oh, yes.
And that movie was about graduating high school and going to the year-end party and tying up loose ends, as it were. Right? Everyone had their thing that they needed to accomplish before they moved on to their young adulthood. And I remember sitting watching that movie, going, "Oh man, this is awesome! This is basically just like watching." All the stereotypes, or all the people that I knew in college that I knew, or high school, that I knew was sort of stereotyped in some way, shape, or form, all on screen at the same time. And I got to the end of the movie, I was like, wow, that was great. That really encapsulated sort of my entire high school experience. Wait a minute, no, it didn't.
Right?
Like, I had moments of it.
Yeah.
Where I was the Ethan Embry character, right? Where I was the guy that had a crush on a girl for like 3 years and would write her letters, and my friends would be like, well, dude. Like
you have no shot at this.
You're not like I always tell the story of I had one good friend, Stu. He's still my good friend to this day.
What up, Stu?
You've met Stu.
I have met Stu.
And Stu, I was in love with this girl in high school, all throughout high school. And Stu would literally he would slap me. He would actually physically assault me. I'd be like, because I would start talking about her, and he got so fed up. He would be like, dude, no, it's not gonna happen. Like if it was gonna happen, it would have happened by now. And so that was my experience, which was I didn't get the girl.
Yeah.
Right? I never got the girl. I got
feel
other
like
girls.
that's most
But I got
people's.
other girls because I wanted that girl so badly that the other girls were like, this dude is so unavailable right now. That's sexy. I'm going to go after him. And by sexy, I mean, I don't know if they thought I was sexy. I was like a little puddly kid in high school. So yeah, I see that in that the overarching themes of coming of age, which is what all high school movies are about in some way, shape, or form, I think are universal. And that's what we relate to, is the nostalgia of remembering when we were discovering the world for the first time, when we were becoming men, when we were figuring out what we wanted to do with our lives. But no, I never put my dick in a pie. I never got the hot girl. I got other girls that I liked, but I got them because I liked them because they were real human beings that liked me.
Sure.
But the girls that I idolized and put up on pedestals, the ones that were the Jennifer Love Hewitts, or I forget who the hot girl was in. I guess it was a foreign exchange student in American Pie.
Shannon Elizabeth.
Shannon Elizabeth. I didn't get that girl. I didn't get close to getting that girl. I saw other guys get that girl. Tara Reid. I just watched Alone in the Dark the other night, by the way. She was in that. I watched Alone in the Dark for approximately 35 seconds, and I was like, nope. So yeah, I mean, I also, though, the movies that I feel really nostalgic about are the ones that were at high school in the 80s.
Yeah, of course, John Hughes.
Yeah, the John Hughes films like Breakfast Club, 16 Candles,
and that's
things
the
like
thing
that.
is, like, what's weird for me is that I feel like I understand why so many movies happen in high school because I remember in high school you went to the movies on the weekend. It's where you could all go and congregate and not have it be weird that you're all like there's 30 people at somebody's house or whatever when their parents are trying to get something done. But you go to the movies and you're there, so they make a high school drama to get the high school or whatever high school movie to get kids to come see it to spend their money and da da da. What's weird is that I still connect with these movies now. And that's what I can't put my finger on, based on the fact that I didn't like high school, but I did. You know, I mean, like it's a weird thing. Like I said it, and you're like, I'm crazy. It's like I just have a bad taste in my mouth about the school part of it, not hanging out with my friends, not doing plays, not doing the
But I
newspaper.
mean, no one likes school. Like that's specifically like high school, middle school, elementary school, like the school part of it. I don't think anybody has ever in the history have ever been like, man, I fucking love homework. That's just not a thing. But it's like, yeah, those memories and stuff. When I think high school, I don't think about what teachers I had or whatever.
I think about my friends
and like what I did and like, you know, in between classes and like literally everything except the work.
Right.
You know? You just think about the good things or the bad things and like the hot girls and the, you know, heartbreaks.
And I was thinking the duff,
shit.
like there's that one scene where she's in chemistry and she's like mixing shit in beakers or whatever. And that made me think of whatever that high school class was where we were in lab and had to do stupid ass shit like that, right?
Well, here's my thing, man. Freaking dissecting frogs. I was promised this shit.
Oh, you didn't do
I
it?
had to do it.
No.
Oh, I did it.
They wouldn't let us. It's like,
You went to hippy dippy San Francisco school.
man, all this SF
Us,
bullshit.
they gave us a rock and they said, go out and get the frog.
Greg's got a picture of himself with the frog.
Don't spoil it. We've already said that picture exists, haven't we?
So here's why I think high school, Matt. Like, so we did a conversation with Colin about this, and I talked about high school is largely meaningless. I hate when people, in terms of like this like marquee time. I always think about Uncle Rico and Napoleon Dynamite.
Okay.
Like, when I see these things like these high school reunion things, I'm like, you have to be fucking kidding me, not a prayer, you know?
Yeah.
But I think back on those times, like you guys were saying, in terms of my friends and those experiences that we had together, and I still have some really good friends. I don't talk to many people from school anymore, but I went to high school with my girlfriend, and we're 30 years old now.
But you weren't like dating. You weren't like high school students.
No.
Just to clarify for the
exactly.
viewer.
But we come from the very same place, which is why I think we kind of understand each other on a weird level. And like I'm going to my best childhood friend's Mike Pope's wedding as one of his groomsmen just next month, and we grew up across the street from each other. So there's all of these seminal memories that I think we tie up into the event. Like when we think, let me put it in another way. When we think about IGN, our time there, we spent between 5 and 9 years at IGN as editors and whatever else we were doing there. When we think back on it, we don't think about the work necessarily. We don't think about the day-to-day grind. We think about our friends and the experiences we had there. And I think it's a very similar kind of thing with high school. I think high school resonates a lot because it is the moment in time, coincidentally, when the thumb of your parents is getting lifted off of you for the first time, and you're starting to find yourself for the first time and really discover things and do stupid shit, and you discover girls or boys or whatever it is, and you might smoke weed for the first time, or you might have a drink for the first time. It's like these are seminal moments in your life that you just remember, and I think it just happens to coincide with school, and therefore you kind of tie in the memory of high school with the memory of the time itself. I think college is the seminal time. I don't ever want to go back to high school. I wish I was back in college all the fucking time.
We've talked about this a million times. I just didn't have that experience. Like to me, it was high school for sure. College was just worthless to me. Like totally worthless. There's not a single real memory I have from it that I'm
that's
like,
heartbreaking. See, that's heartbreaking for me because I just obviously idolized college so much and loved college so much.
I'm the same way. I mean, I would.
Y'all got your bullshit film degrees. That's your problem.
Well, no. Yeah, but that to me was the best part of college, right? Was when I discovered that like I wanted to pursue film in some way, shape, or form as a career, and I met a bunch of amazing people in that department. That I wouldn't necessarily trade. I liked that experience, but everything else, I mean, I wish I could have gotten that in 1 year and then gone out and worked, because everything else that I sort of experienced at Irvine just wasn't. I mean, it was blah. It was like, okay, went to college. That was great. Really wouldn't want to do that again. Didn't feel any need or tie to want to go to grad school. I was like, I'm pretty much done with this. I don't think it gave me a specific leg up in the world. Specifically being from wanting to go into film production. I think I probably would have done better if I'd have spent the last 3 years of my college driving back and forth to LA and just holding up a sign that said hire me.
I mean, that's kind of where I'm at too, where it's like, to me, college wasn't about college at all. It was just about making YouTube videos and getting noticed by places like IGN.
Sure,
you know? And it's
sure.
like,
Which you could have done without college.
totally. I mean, that's the thing. Is like I
You
guess
probably could have done better without college. Actually,
we've talked about this a bazillion different times, but like I feel like I had all those questions answered in high school, so I kind of was already on that path.
Yeah.
And if anything, college was just holding me back, like all the GE classes and like having to do all this stuff that didn't matter. Pretty much, college is very important in proving that you can get things done and you
Sure.
can be responsible, and it's proving to employers and all these people that you are not useless and that you can get shit done timely and all that stuff.
yeah, but
That's what I had high school for. I did that. I got
Yeah.
good grades. I
Yeah.
I didn't miss days when there were tests. I fucking turned in my homework. I did all that shit. So now it's like, all right, what do I want to do? Let's fucking do it. I want to make
Sure.
dumb YouTube videos.
yeah, I mean,
Here
that's,
I am,
we
motherfucker.
talked about this a
Fuck
lot.
you,
that-
Miss Fukumoto.
Fuck you, Miss Fukumoto.
Damn, Miss Fukumoto. Don't know, Miss Fukumoto.
I like
is
Miss
a
Fukumoto. I really do
perfectly
like
nice person.
Fukumoto. Fuck you, Gadano, though.
Fuck
I
you,
really hope he's
Gadano.
watching this.
Girl or
He's
guy,
not
we don't know.
watching
It's
it.
just
Mister.
Gadano.
We just call him
Could be an
Gadano,
alien
though.
being. We
He's
don't
a
know.
fucking form.
It's a disembodied form. Yeah, for me though, you know, high school. Going back to the original question, high school was very important for me because it was the first time you were around that age, like range of people, right? So when you were in like,
Oh, like movies representing who you were?
well, no, it was when you were 14 when there were 18-year-olds around you, right?
Oh.
And so, like, you know, when you're in grade school, you don't really see the age difference too much between like a fourth grader and a sixth grader. There is, you
Dude,
call
I
them
don't know,
scrubs and
man.
stuff.
I was going to say, well,
But when
again,
I was
about
in
this, think
kindergarten,
about
I
the
remember the fifth graders, they might as well have been 18.
Sure, but they weren't buying cigarettes, they weren't drinking, they
They
weren't
were.
experimenting with drugs, they weren't doing all these things. Whereas the reason why I think a lot of people hold high school in that high regard is because for some, or for many actually, it is when you broaden quickly. You go from being a 13-year-old kid to suddenly
13-year-old
14,
man.
where you're a freshman in high school and there are 18-year-olds who are boating, driving, smoking cigarettes, partying with with their older brothers in college, experimenting with alcohol, hard drug, modding their cars out was a thing that when I was a kid, but I'm sure is a thing now, where people would be like, there was always the kid who you're like, what the fuck did he do to get that dope Honda Civic that's all lowered with rims? And then you realize later on in life that he just sold drugs. I like that made sense because you can make a lot of money selling weed apparently, but it's still illegal in most states. But yeah, that was when you were like, holy crap, there's so many things that I'm figuring out. Whereas I got to college, and I also had an older brother. So I got to college, and everyone was like, oh, let's go get drunk, and let's do all this stuff. And I'm like, meh. I've been doing that since I was 13. Like, because my brother's always been 5 years older than me, so when I was 13, he was 18. And so he was entering college when I was entering high school, so I would party with all of his friends. So by the time I got to college, I was like, man, I'm not the idea of getting really messed up and having a house party and going crazy, the allure had sort of worn off a little bit for me because I experienced a lot of that, a high impact of that right when I got into high school.
Gotcha.
Plus, I went to the same high school as my brother, so all the teachers that loved my brother were
Another
like,
Scarpino
"What's up,
boy."
Scarpino?" Like I went to theater, and my theater teacher, Ms. Grotness, was awesome, and she just was like, God, I got another Scarpino. This is going to be, again, it's like a Kevin level situation. Pros and cons. Pros and cons.
70-30.
Yeah,
80, 74.
I think I look back at high school and I'm like, I remember those days, but it's just more of a pure, because I'm very nostalgic. It's just more of a pure nostalgic thing. When I think about college, I'm like, these are formidable fucking years for me. You know,
They define who you are.
Yeah, like
Well, you went to an amazing university, though. You went to Northeastern, right?
yeah, but I it is an amazing school, but I don't necessarily know that that's necessarily relevant to the experience, right? Like I got a great education, and I remember those classes, and I had great professors, very famous historians were my some of my professors, but it was the experience. That's where I met Ramon. That's where I met Chris, my friend Chris Godfrey, and all these different people that I really fucking love. Doug, all these guys, Aaron, like these people that I really really love in my life and take with me. But also we all grew up together, and I think that was the different thing. Like when you're in high school, you still go home at the end of the day, and you go and you eat fucking dinner with your parents, or you do whatever, you sleep in your own bed. When you get to college, it's fucking game on. Mm-hmm. Like you do, like it is all on you. No one's gonna tell you what to do. I always loved, it was a thing with, especially in history, because we read a lot, and then there were very few things to do. Like it was like, I told you guys I had one class where we had like just a midterm and a final. And that was it.
Yeah.
And it's like, here's your reading list. Come to class if you want. You're gonna have 6 questions total to answer from these 8 books.
I fucking
Fuck
thrived
you.
off that shit.
Yeah,
I remember in that class, that specific class, which was one of my colonial history classes, I was fucking petrified because it's literally like there's literally 6 things you have to answer the entire class. And you have no idea. It's not like, read chapter 1 and 2 and then we're going to take a quiz. It's like, here's 8 books.
Question could come from any.
2 of these books will probably not even be touched.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you which ones to read and which ones not. And then I remember taking the final in that class and being like, and I remember we had like 5 choices and we had to answer 3 of them. And I remember going to the first 2 and I'm like, fuck. I remember the first question I was like, I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. It was something about, like the Mayflower Compact or something. And then I was like, the second one was, I don't know, something a little newer and so a little more, about Massachusetts Bay Colony. And I was like, oh my fucking God. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And then by the grace of God, the last 3 questions I could answer. And then we had blue books and each question was a blue book.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a blue book where you filled it out and it was like 1 question, 1 blue book, fill the whole fucking thing out. The next question, the next blue book, fill the whole thing out. And so I remember those experiences much more fondly than my AP American class or whatever, when I don't even fucking really remember what was happening in that class. I was just there because I wanted to get college credit. So and then you get out of class and you just do whatever you want. Am I going to eat dinner? Am I going to go, drinking at the bar? Am I going to go, meet up with this girl? Am I going to sleep? Am I going to go to work? And it's like, you can do whatever the fuck you want. And what was so funny about it was watching people just fall off along the way.
Yeah.
Like that you never heard from again. You know what I mean? Like people I knew when I was freshman that I was really close with, never heard from again after freshman year. Sophomore, same thing. And then
that's very true about college.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. These people just, especially in that Facebook came out when I was in college, but in that pre-Facebook era, 2002, 2003, disappear like that. You never see them again. Yep. You know what I mean? And so
are you still friends with those people?
Not some of them have found me. Well, yeah. Well, that's funny thing is I've been going through Facebook to like my older friends, like people that I really don't talk to anymore, and I go. And I just like, when did we become friends or whatever? And it's like, man, we became friends 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, and I'm like, geez.
So weird, man.
It is, but with college, I look at college as like very formidable. It's not because I necessarily went to Northeastern or anything like that. I think it's really because it's just so important. It's such an important. It was an important time in my life. It was a defining portion of my life that really made me who I was and taught me a great many lessons. Whether I had to learn them easily or most difficult, my worst heartbreak, the worst time of my life was in college. When my girlfriend senior year broke up with me, that we were together like throughout college, that was fucking awful.
Yeah,
that was like the lowest point of my entire life. I was despondent. You know what I mean? Like for like a long time. And I look back at that time and I'm like, learn from it. Just like you learn from the classroom, learn from these different experiences so you don't go down those roads again. I don't necessarily look at my high school experiences and been like, learn from them. Like, you were a fucking idiot in high school. You were an idiot in high school. And that's what you can learn from it.
But do you feel love for these movies then? Since you're in the same boat as me, where college mattered, high school movies speak to you still?
Yeah, they do in the sense that I just wish that my high school experience was like that, but it wasn't. I didn't have a bad high school experience. I didn't have a good high school experience. It was just my high school experience. I kind of feel like that was just the way it was for most of us.
That's how I feel about college, though. I mean, I look at high school, and the one thing I managed to accomplish was I got into a college. Right? I was like, if anything else, if nothing else, I'm like, I did a few plays. I got over my fear of being on stage. I studied music. I did quite a few things, and I knew everyone. Like, that was the other thing about high school is I knew, me, I talked to everyone. I knew everyone. I would be nodding constantly to people. Everyone knew me. Nobody thought I was the king shit of anything, but everyone was like, that's Nick, whatever. And that was a good feeling. I get to college, and I think it was largely because I was very lazy in college. Because really every situation is what you make of it, right? I got to college, and I look at that 4 years that I spent there, and I'm like, all I accomplished was student debt. Like, all I really got myself into was I learned the formatting and sort of the art behind screenwriting, which I will always take with me, and I study those textbooks to this day. Like, there are still books that I have where I'll go back and continue to reference them. It's one of the only things I do. That, and along with we took a 101 class where they gave you a couple books on directing. And this is obviously because this is more of a film theory program, not a film stuff. I'm sure people that go to USC are like, fucking loved it. Like, this is amazing because I got to study under Robert Zemeckis, or like maybe Steven Spielberg was guest lecturing one day and you're like, Jesus, that's amazing. But for me, I just don't feel like I feel like I was too lazy. I had the wrong priorities, and I just didn't like accomplish anything in that 4 years other than gaining weight and accruing not a ton of debt, but enough debt to where I was like, I still have to work. I always have to work. And like, I feel like if I had to do it over, I could go back and tell myself something of like, go to a college where you're either going to spend 2 years learning an intense amount of production and then go out and work in the field, or stop being such a freaking loaf and go intern. Get to what's wrong. Like, that's the thing that kills me about when I look at college, and this is where I get a lot of anxieties. I was like, I've always been risk averse. Where, with the exception of this is the biggest risk I've ever taken, and it paid off. Which now you go back and look at all those other instances where you could
get ahead of ourselves.
Well, no, I mean we've had a good 7-month run. I can consider this a success
good.
to this point. Odds are we'll finish out the year solvent. I think. This is like not even real wood. But I want to go back and tell myself, why you're not taking risks because you're scared of failure. And that's really what it comes down to. More so, you're scared of not even failure. You're scared of just the general meh, right? Where you do something, you put your effort into it, and it doesn't fail, but it doesn't do anything really. It just kind of like, it's like the equivalent to when we were at IGN, we'd try really, really hard for a video that we'd want to get like 100,000 views, and it would do like 50. And we're like, that's good, but it's not a million. It's not mind-boggling, right? And so I had that fear paralysis when I was in college, where I was like, I just don't want to try, because if I try, that means I might fail or I might not succeed in some iteration. Whereas I wish I could go back to myself and be like, just move to LA. Just get to LA and start networking there and start meeting people and start offering your services to people. So you guys ended up going to college and actually going into the relevant fields right off the bat, which was awesome.
Well, I didn't. My field wasn't relevant even when I was studying it.
But you've made a career here on the internet talking about history.
I have, but I followed what I loved, and that was what I love, and that's what I did. It makes me sad sometimes when I hear people be like, college was a waste of time, because in a way, like I look at it as like, did I have to go to Northeastern? Probably not, because it was crushing debt. But my mom went there, and we have a legacy there. And now we have a real legacy there. Like, my kids will get in fucking Northeastern, like, no problem, which is awesome, because that school's great. But could I have gotten that education on the island or somewhere at a SUNY school where, State University of New York system, where it would have been cheaper and probably, yeah, of course. But the one thing my mom always told me when I would express this to her as a Northeastern grad and someone that works in academia is like, yeah, but you have this piece of paper that no one can ever take away from you. You graduated from Northeastern, and no one can ever take it away. No matter like what happens to you or like where you go in life, like you did accomplish this one thing and you should be proud of it. And that's the one thing that I try to take with me is like, yeah, I didn't always make the right choices in school. I didn't always study as hard as I could have. I certainly spent an arm and a leg, and that was with my tuition being paid, which is amazing, because Northeastern's like $45,000 a year just for tuition, and
it's so much,
and it's like
that is so much money,
and that was paid for. I paid my room and board, which was still like close to $80,000 for my time there, but I did it and it's gone, and I can't really regret it, and I don't regret it because I found who I was there. I really did, and I'm not so sure that I'd be the same Colin if I went to Stony Brook or if I went to BU or if I went to one of these other places or UCLA or any of these other schools. I always really wanted to go to Yale, and I never even applied because I was like, well, I want to go to Boston, and that's where I belonged, and I remember those times so fondly. So it always hurts me. Not hurts me, but I was like, it's too bad, because I wish everyone looked back at that experience the way I look back on it, because it was a very positive time in my life, even though I had some trials and tribulations, and like I said, some really fucking significant low points. Because who would I be without Ramon? You know what I mean? Who would I be without my friend Doug? Who would I be without all these people that really helped shape me, that I lived with, that I have these great memories with? But very similar to the way we were talking about high school, I remember some things in class and stuff like that, and some debates we had, and I was very loud and very Republican. But like, but it was more of like the parties. It was more of like my roommates. I remember I have so many, like having to like really having systems like where it's like, I have a girl in here, like you have to go now. That's when Ramon and I got into a fist fight. Yeah. And it was like,
you beat up Ramon because you had a girl in the room?
Yeah, we told the story about how I had a girl over. Ramon and we lived in an apartment, but we shared a room, and we had two other roommates. My friend Kevin, who you guys met when we were doing the NHL reviews or NHL videos, and our friend Chris, who lives in Brooklyn now. And I was like, he wouldn't get out of the room. And I'm like, I need the room. And we got into a fight. And I was like, I was like, I get out of the room if you ever had girls here, but you don't. Or something like that. And he like came at me, and I just punched him in the face, and he fell into the refrigerator, and the refrigerator moved over, and he just fell in between the counter and the refrigerator, like into the wall.
Call.
That's he had it coming. Ramon admits he had it coming.
Yeah, it was a funny story. The only time I ever put hands on Ramon. And everyone and I'll never forget Chris and Kevin just laughing. Because Ramon and I are both weaklings. The punch would have like just if I punched Chris in the face like that, it would like, what is that, a fly? Jesus. But Ramon and I are so wiry and stuff like that, and we're so belligerent, and they're just laughing like their asses off in the corner, and that's the shit I remember.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and that's important stuff to me, because that makes me feel good. I want to go back to that time. I want to relive those days, but you never can. I've had those conversations with friends of mine in the past where it's like, damn, like we can't go back.
Yeah, those are the best days.
And I have no desire to go back to high school. When my 10-year anniversary for high school was 2012, and I remember my girlfriend asked me like, should we go? And I'm like, I'm not going to that. I have no fucking desire to ever do that.
Yeah, that was my thing too. And that's what I'm coming back to. It was just like, I don't have any love for high school, really. Like, in terms of the way I have a love for Mizzou, right? But like, that's why you watch these movies, and it's weird that I'm like, oh, wait, I didn't like this.
But to each his own, right? There's no right answer to
exactly.
that.
Because I mean, the thing is, like, all things we're talking about, it's like, I feel like it's crazy you guys don't connect that way with high school, but it's like you guys connected with college that way.
Yeah.
I didn't.
You guys
It's
got
just,
it with
people
high
are different, have different things. The thing
People
that was
are different, have
crazy
different things.
about my high school is, and going back to what the actual topic is about this, is my school was very weird for many different reasons, but specifically the fact that in San Francisco, it was one of only two schools that weren't one of only two public schools that you actually had to, you weren't just in. Like, you had to actually
try to get in. Yeah.
So I went to Lowell, which was completely based on academics. And then the other one was SOTA, which is School of the Arts. And you had to do auditions and do all this shit to get in. And with Lowell, it was because it was the smart kids, right? They all get in. And I'll never forget it being so weird because I felt like everyone was trying to make it like a high school movie. Like,
oh, yeah.
And I feel like because there were a lot of kids who just the way it goes, are the kids that weren't that cool and didn't have that great of a, or not great, but just, they're just not cool. They're not cool kids. I went to high school with a bunch of not cool kids. And they all tried so hard to be
cool.
the jock and to be the cheerleader girls and to be, like all these like high school. Yeah. And it's like looking back, I remember being there and just being like, this is so funny to me that like they're trying to make this happen.
Yeah.
Because I remember looking at all the other public schools. They weren't doing that. They had their own cliques and stuff, but they weren't the cliques that we're seeing in these movies.
Yeah.
But my school had all that stuff, and it was embarrassing. So when I watch these movies, a lot of times I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, like this is bad, because that's not what it's really like.
No, but it's fun. That's the way you maybe wanted it to be in a way.
Yeah,
Really,
no, it's not.
Yeah,
I can tell you
not for your fake, for your fake versions. Yeah, people trying to fake it, but like
it's just so weird, man. And it's like, I swear to God, like a lot of the movie storylines just happened before my eyes, and I'm like, you're making this happen. And that's when I kind of realized, like, you can just make whatever the fuck you want happen. Like, I've told the story a million times, but me and Alfredo literally set up a desk, printed out a bunch of pictures of ourselves at Walgreens, and started signing autographs in the hall. People started coming up and wanted autographs from us. They didn't know who the fuck we were. We were freshmen in high school.
That was a good move, though.
Yeah.
That's a pro move.
It was a pro move.
Yeah.
Because then all of a sudden
everyone knew you.
Everyone knew who we were.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, those guys are a big deal. I'm like, you guys are fucking idiots.
Yeah.
We're not big deals.
Yeah.
We're stupid shits. And it's like, but now we're stupid shits, and people think we're a big deal.
And autographs are being hung in lockers around Lowell High School right now.
Lowell High School.
Yeah, you'd made it.
I did.
If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Game Over Greggy show each and every week. 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table. Oh, you go off on that one. You're old and dumb.
You know why?
Old and dumb.
It's because I was thinking, am I the West Coast Ramon? Am I Colin's West Coast Ramon?
No.
In what respect?
You're not nearly as close to him as Ramon is.
Well, I had the look, though. I look like a worse version of him.
Colin punched him in the face one time.
I would pay to see Colin punch you in the face. Can we make that a Patreon milestone?
You know, I've been reading a lot about brain damage. No,
I wouldn't hit.
Can't
Nick,
do it
because I think Nick can fight, and I wouldn't want to.
Shadowbox,
I would much
it.
rather fight you, Rick.
Oh, I'd love it. But we can only fight out of real anger.
I don't want to fight
That's the
anybody.
thing. I'll fight you too.
I don't want you
Same
to fight
time.
me.
Greg's got size and reach, but he's never been punched in the face before.
We've talked about this before.
Yeah, so I think I
Yeah.
can.
It's
I
gonna
think
be very
I
interesting.
think I can shock.
Hit
him.
up that conversation with Colin.
I've been punched in the face too many times.
4, sometimes 5 best friends. This table, each bring a random topic of conversation for your amusement. If you like that, like this video, of course, but then head over to patreon.com/kindafunny. Throw us a few bucks and you get every episode early. The Friday
a
before it
beached
releases.
whale?
Yeah, what are you doing?
I'm
What
trying
is
to do
it?
a little Chewbacca for you.
You're too high on the. You're too high.
You're trying too hard too.
Yeah. If you got no bucks to throw us, it's no big deal. Head over to youtube.com/kindafunny where we post it topic by topic, day by day, until we post the entire thing in both MP3 form and, of course, one giant YouTube video. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.